Prior to the 16th century, tooth decay is rarely seen in skeletal remains. This is because the primary sweetener used was honey, which contains certain antimicrobial properties. So once again, raw honey is very good for your microflora, especially for your mouth. The bacterial strain most associated with actual tooth decay is S. mutans. When S. mutans can feed on sugar, it produces the enamel-destroying acid associated with tooth decay, and honey is able to inhibit the growth of this organism. We swallow about 1 million bacteria with every mouthful of food, so the mouth is a very diverse ecosystem. Each part of your mouth contains different communities of bacteria. The main bacteria associated with gum disease is gingivalis. Gingivalis can live deep in the gum and pockets of your tooth enamel. It breaks down tissue and bone, which also provides food for other bad bacteria. Gingivalis is considered a secondary colonizer, which means it needs another type of bacteria in order to live. Gum disease is also tied to cardiovascular disease. In general, there are diseases all over the body associated or that even begin in the mouth. So the health of the mouth is one of the most important parts of the body, which of course makes sense. This is where you get most of your nutrients as well as most of your microorganisms. Despite what dentistry seems to indicate, your mouth doesn't just go bad at some point. Cavities and gum disease aren't supposed to be inevitable issues. There's a reason they happen, and it's due to the thriving ecosystem in your mouth. It's important to understand how the bacteria in your mouth fluctuate throughout the day. The number of bacteria increases after every meal and especially at night while you're sleeping. Saliva helps to keep the bad bacteria in check, so when you're sleeping, your saliva levels drop, which allows all kinds of organisms to start to grow and be more active. So bad breath is the result of microorganisms feeding on food particles. So eating a bunch of processed sugar and junk food right before going to sleep without cleaning your mouth is one of the worst things you can do. Also, if you wake up with bad breath, you probably don't want to eat or drink anything until after you've adjusted your mouth microbiome. Sore throat is also caused by bacteria overgrowth. Specifically for strep throat, it's usually caused by S. pyogenes. So if you or your kid is getting strep throat all the time, you need to take measures into stopping that bacteria from growing so much. One positive strain is called Salivarius K12. K12 is being used to fight off tonsillitis, sore throat, and specifically S. pyogenes and bad breath. Streptococcus A12 is another organism that's been discovered that actually produces hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide can kill S. mutans, the tooth decay bacteria, as well as just whitening your teeth. So all kinds of probiotic mouthwash, lozenges, and chewing gum are being investigated with specific strains to help treat different other bacteria that are causing problems. A strain of L. reuteri is also being investigated to fight off gum disease. I don't think those products are very affordable in the long run, but for the short term, maybe it can be useful if you're having issues. Your mouth and teeth health are a lifelong maintenance commitment. Breathing in your mouth all the time can bring in a lot of bad bacteria and dries it out as well. This is especially bad at night when your saliva levels are already lowered, so that's why it's important to breathe through your nose. Alcohol-based mouthwashes can also be bad for the long term because they dry out your mouth as well. Green and black tea are good for stopping the plaque-forming bacteria. Even just gargling water can be good to rinse out the mouth, especially salt water if you feel that it's starting to get inflamed. Raw onions, carrots, apples, those are all good at eradicating bacteria. Even wasabi has been found to stop bacteria from sticking to your teeth. Increasing your fermented foods is always good to restore the bacteria. A good mouth microbiome will help protect your teeth and gums, as well as keeping your breath fresh and helping you to digest food as well. Another big problem that causes mouth issues that doesn't get talked about much is fungus. Supposedly you can do a spit test to see if you have candida buildup. I don't know how reliable or accepted the test is, but usually you can tell if you have something like candida overgrowth by white spots all over your tongue. Chewing on cloves or oil pulling with something like coconut can be good ways to help reduce different microorganisms and fungi in your mouth. Again, try to use raw honey as a sweetener as much as you can instead of sugar, especially for things like your tea and coffee if those are daily things that you drink. If something becomes an issue in your mouth, there's usually a way to figure out what's causing it. For example, if you brush your teeth and your gums bleed, that's a sign of gum disease. and about 50% of adults get gum disease. But then that tells you that the most likely candidate is gingivalis. Knowing the byproduct or the effects of a certain bad microorganism can help you to identify that organism so that you can treat it. Brushing your tongue and flossing the food particles in between your teeth out can be good ways to stop bacteria from just overgrowing. In my previous video on the Book of the Dead, I left out this part that I wanted to say for this one, which is the power of licking and spit. Many ancient cultures viewed spit and saliva as having healing properties. This is where the expression, lick your wounds, come from. Many animals also use saliva to clean their wounds. In the Book of the Dead, saliva is an important source of magic and curative powers. In the New Testament of the Bible, Jesus uses saliva multiple times for miraculous healing. So saliva has been recognized as a folk remedy for many thousands of years. This may seem gross to us today, but that's because our bite and our saliva is becoming so infectious. The bacteria that causes all kinds of problems in our mouth can actually be way deadlier in an open wound somewhere else in the body. Saliva does contain a lot of curative abilities, but that's only when you have a healthy mouth microbiome. I hope this helps, or at least gives you some direction for how you can help maintain and take care of your teeth and mouth. Thanks for watching.